Hello and welcome to Waseda University's English podcast series titled Rigorous Research, Real Impact. In this series, we dive into interesting conversations and stories from Waseda's vibrant academic and cultural community. I'm your host, Peter Chai, a PhD student in the Graduate School of Political Science here at Waseda. In the final episode of Season 2, we'll consider a field crucial to both employees and organizations: organizational behavior and human resource management. We'll be discussing how new employees change from outsiders to insiders, and how important the trust is when it comes to their success and commitment to a company. To explore this topic, we are pleased to have Professor Yuhee Jung from the Faculty of Social Sciences, where he teaches in both Japanese and in the English-based degree programs of the undergraduate and graduate schools. Her work delves into the critical process of how new employees integrate into an organization, focusing on how companies can build trust and ensure a smooth transition for their newcomers. Welcome to the show, Professor Jung.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Professor, your research touches on something many of our listeners can probably relate to: the essential and yet sometimes challenging process of starting a new job and fitting into an organization. You've described this in your work as moving from an outsider to an insider. Could you tell us about the institutionalized socialization tactics you research? How do they help newcomers in the adjustment process?
Okay, thank you for the question. The most companies attempt to help their newcomers adjust smoothly and successfully by providing education, training, or simple basic orientation. So those companies' approaches are known as socialization tactics. And actually, there are two types of socialization tactics: individualized and institutionalized tactics. For example, if the companies implement individualized tactics, newcomers rarely receive education, training, even the orientation. So it is the very classic the sink or swim situation. So in the successful newcomer socialization is totally depends on newcomers' experiences or their abilities. On the other hand, your question is institutionalized tactics is a very well designed and organized company's approach. So if the company implement the institutionalized tactics, the newcomers will receive formalized orientation and continuous training, education, and even the social support, such as a mentoring program. So the newcomers can receive the very basic and the necessary knowledge, education to take or to conduct their job and performance. Actually, the previous studies, researchers, they found that maybe you already imagined that institutionalized tactics are very effective for the newcomers' socialization. That's why those previous studies, they assume or they consider these types of tactics as sources of information. However, if we limit the role of those tactics as just simple information provision, we may miss a very important fact that the newcomers begin to trust their organization as an employer.
Thank you so much, Professor, for explaining to us the importance of institutionalized tactics. That was a very clear and helpful framework. Hearing about it makes me curious about your own past. You've researched a wide range of topics, from individual differences to organizational human resource management, or HRM practices, in order to understand how people achieve career success. What led you to focus on individuals' career success in particular? Could you share a bit about the journey that brought you to this field?
Yes, thank you for this. To answer the question, let me briefly introduce or share my experiences in Japan. I'm originally from South Korea. After graduating from university in Korea, I came to Japan to pursue master and the PhD degrees. As an international, graduate student, I was worried about my career, whether I could get a job or the position in a Japanese university. So Japan is very famous for, can you guess? Famous for sushi or ramen. It's male-dominated society. Of course, nowadays we have a very good news. We have the first historical female PM. However, still Japan remains a male-dominated society. Can you imagine that over 15 years ago, Japan, it was much more serious than now. So at the time, back then, I couldn't find a female faculty member from the university. I mean, especially my research area, business management. Only the male faculties. And besides, there are very limited the tenure track opportunities for international faculty. So have you heard about the term intersectional minority? So I'm kind of the international and female is totally intersectional minority group in Japan. So therefore, naturally, I became interested in the career, the research itself. So interestingly, at the time, there was a huge shift. I mean, just paradigm shift in the career research. So people begin to pursue their own psychological satisfaction or the psychological well-being and happiness more than just objective career, such as promotion or higher salary. And besides, the people, they're committed to their own careers more than the company itself. So the people move around the companies to company and across the industries and beyond the countries and countries. So we call those phenomena as a boundaryless career. So I like the concept. So that's why my PhD, I decided stop worrying and I can enjoy what I'm doing. That is my research. So my PhD dissertation focused on the individual's subjective career success. So how individuals pursue their own the psychological satisfaction in their career. And also I tried to compare the differences between male and female employees and between young and the older employees and across the countries. That was my research. And actually, finally, thanks to God, I got my PhD degree and I got my tenure track, the position. And actually, since that time, I changed universities 3 times. And honestly saying, so Waseda is my first employer. I believe Waseda is my last employer because I'm pretty satisfied with my the current job and workplace. And that's why, I have experienced being newcomers a lot. So I could totally understand how difficult it is to adapt new workplace. That's why now I'm focused on that newcomers socialization. So my research journey is I say research. Research. Many researchers, they do research. That is my research journey.
Thank you, Professor, for sharing your personal experiences. And I'm glad to hear that you are enjoying your time at Waseda. So, Professor, let's now talk a bit about the setting of your research. Japan. The country is well known for its employment systems like lifelong employment. From your perspective, what makes Japan such a fascinating and important place to study topics like organizational socialization and HRM? Are there unique dynamics here that you wouldn't find elsewhere?
Yeah, thank you. Japan is all the time unique country in terms of culture and the people behaviors and customers, even the good food. So many people around all the world are interested in Japan. In the same way, the Japanese companies have a very unique management style. So actually, very long time ago, already the scholars mentioned that Japanese unique and Japanese management style. So as you already mentioned that long-term employee, we call that a lifetime employment and seniority-based promotion or some company-based labor union. So interestingly, these 3 pillars characterize the Japanese management is related with a very, very unique HR practice. That is, I can call it a simultaneous hiring system. Simultaneous hiring system means that Japanese companies hire the large number of newcomers at once, just a year. And for example, I exactly remember 2 years ago, Toyota, like a large company, they hire 1,300 newcomers at one time. And it is interestingly totally different practices from the other countries. Actually, when the companies hire their newcomers, Maybe if they have a need some specific positions, they hire some people. But Japanese company, they hire a large number of newcomers every year, the same time. So mostly the newly graduate, the newcomers, they don't have any industrial experiences. They have no idea. So it means that the Japanese companies have to take responsibility to educate, train the newcomers until they can independently take their works, tasks. So it means that it costs expensive and it takes time, at least over 1 year. So, but why Japanese companies still keep doing the traditional things? Because the most Japanese managers, they strongly believe that those newcomers will stay with them until they retire by showing high loyalty to their company. Actually, it was true, maybe their parents' generation, but nowadays Gen Z in Japan is the same, the Gen Z in the other countries. So most Gen Z young generation, they don't believe they should stay with only one employer through their whole career life. So if they have a better chance, why not? They can move, they change the company easily. So now we have a big gap between the individuals, newcomers, and the company managerial perspective. So now the many HR managers, they are worrying about this situation, whether they should keep this the simultaneous hiring system or not. So it's now Japan is dynamically changing and transforming. So now most the researchers we focus on that, especially socialization, the issues in Japanese context.
Thank you, Professor, for explaining the simultaneous hiring system in Japan. Japan is facing its own modern challenges like attracting and keeping young talent. I believe it's sometimes called the Shichikosan phenomenon in Japanese. How can your research on building trust through socialization offer some practical advice or solutions for Japanese companies dealing with this type of issue today?
Thank you. As I mentioned, nowadays many HR managers, they are concerned and worried about this situation. As you mentioned, Shichigo-san, maybe you know what the Shichigo-san is. So many, like the 30% the college student, they change their first job within 3 years. Like 50% the high school graduate that changed their job, and 70% junior high school graduate changed the job. That is, it means that young generation just easily changed their first job. So, but still many Japanese companies, they invest in their newcomers by expecting they will stay with them. But actually it is not true. But still my research, my finding was say yes. I mean, maybe HR managers in Japan, they still can keep what they're doing so far. So it means that the concept of trust, perception of trust is still very important in Japanese context between the individual and the company, the relationship. So actually our research found that when the organization invests in their newcomers by providing the continuous education training, the newcomers, they perceive their organization as a trustworthy employer. They perceive, okay, maybe I can rely on this company, maybe I can stay this employer as long as possible. So maybe our research findings that Japanese companies can keep what they're doing so far. That is my answer.
Thank you, Professor, for sharing your research findings. To round out our conversation, I'd love to turn to any potential future Waseda students who might be listening. After listening about your research, I'm sure some are inspired. For those students who are interested in organizational behavior and HRM, what makes the Transnational and Interdisciplinary Studies in Social Innovation, or TAISI program, and the English-based degree program at the Graduate School of Social Sciences at Waseda a great place to dive into these subtopics?
Thank you. So actually nowadays, the social issues, for example, like national relations, economics, or environmental the issues, those only one social issues cannot solve with only the specific or the very limited knowledge, because all the issues are related completely. In the same way, actually the most companies, they run their business not only their home country, but also more than 2 or 3 countries. So it means that HR managers, they should manage employees not only their home country, but also host countries or even the third countries. So HR managers need to understand the languages and the diverse cultures, and also the institution and law related to some environmental things and everything. So actually, I can say that School of Social Sciences is the best place for the students to learn this HRM. Actually, I don't teach HRM. I teach international HRM. Nowadays, we cannot think only simple HRM. We need international HRM. Also, I teach the organization behavior, but not only OB, cross-cultural organization behavior. So not only me, actually the School of Social Sciences, we have a very competent faculty members. So they are each of them experts in the various topic research, such as the politics, economics, and the environment economic, and like me, the management. So students can learn the diverse perspective and knowledge from those professors. So I can say bravely, this place is the best place for the students to learn the HRM, especially nowadays.
Thank you, Professor. There has been such an enjoyable conversation. Before we finish, do you have a final message for students around the world who might be thinking about studying at Waseda, or even researchers who might be considering taking up a position in Japan?
So, as we already discussed, Japan is a very unique country. And as the international researcher, from my perspective, Japanese uniqueness sometimes make it adapt to the rapidly changing environment. That is a huge challenge, actually, Japan. Japan has a strong historic and long culture. Actually, the Japanese values, is a human and harmony. And nowadays, actually, Japan is changing to welcome the international and global talents. So those the good balance between the historical culture, the tradition, and the openness. I guess the most global talents has a good opportunity to work here in Japan. Especially Waseda is very open to the global talents, global researchers, and of course international students. So just I recommend strongly come to Japan and come to especially Waseda, and maybe you can experience it by yourself. I strongly believe that you never regret your decision.
Thank you, Professor, for your time and for sharing your research areas, personal experiences, and the courses you are teaching.
Thank you for having me, and it was my pleasure.
And thanks to all our listeners for tuning in to this final episode of Season 2. For more conversations from the corridors of Waseda University, don't forget to subscribe and check out our homepage for more information on our university podcasts. Take care and stay curious.